What's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in for another episode of Zim's Beer Review. I'm your host, Garrett Zimmer. We are doing like a mashup today, okay? We're doing a battle of the beers, like combined with a mystery brew, except the mystery isn't to anyone but me. I guess it's to you guys until we find out. But here's what we're doing. I'm going to jump right into this because due to circumstances of how we actually are going to make this happen, we had to pour the beers beforehand because I couldn't pour them. So here's what we're doing. Basically, we're doing, as boring as it may be, a light beer taste test. Now, you might think light beers are terrible. You might think they're water. Maybe you think they're a disgrace to beers. But that's not what this is about. This episode is strictly about which light beer is best and am I able to name which is which. That's it. So we're doing the three most popular light beers there are. Like them or not, hear me out. Okay, here's we go. We got Miller Lite. Also, all of these are tall boys. They're all 24-ounce cans because when I went to the liquor store, I couldn't buy 12-ounce cans. Here nor there. 24 ounces of Miller Lite. Not drinking at all. We got a Coors Light. And we got, you knew it. Oh, where's it at? A Bud Light. Okay, so basically what we're doing is I have these three beers right here that my wife has opened, poured into glasses right here, labeled 1. I think this is 2. Where's it at? Can you see the 2? You can't see the 2 very well, but trust me, the 2 is on here. And then the 3. The 3 is written on here. Hopefully you can see the 3. You can kind of see the 3. Okay. Basically, what we're doing is a blind taste test, light beer versus light beer versus light beer. Mystery brew to me, don't know which is which. I'm going to say which one I think is best, and I'm going to say which I think is which. The answers are folded up into this piece of paper. I haven't looked. She made this for me. I'm sitting it down right next to me. Okay, so we're going to jump right into this because they've been poured. As if light beers could get worse, I don't want them to sit for too long, if you know what I mean. Okay, so first thing first, we're just going to go straight in to beer number 1 and see what we think. As expected, these beers are all golden in color, very clear. I will say out of the 3, I can't hold them up all at once, but 2 of them still have a slight head on them. This is one of them that has a slight head. The number 2 its head has completely disappeared. For comparison, this one has no head at all. This one has a little bit. 3 looks very similar to this. But we're going in. Okay, here we go. Number 1. I don't want to wipe these off. We wrote number 1, 2, and 3 on here with a dry erase, so I don't want to lose that. But here we go. Cheers. Smells like a light beer. This is going to be incredibly, incredibly difficult. But okay. Not a lot of flavor. Pretty light. Gonna be honest, it tastes like a light beer. It literally could be any of the 3. We'll see if the next one helps me. This is number 2. Where's the 2? There's the 2. I don't want to lose these numbers. Okay. This one does smell a little bit stronger, actually. This one has a little bit higher aroma to it. But man, it tastes identical. Man, is it all marketing? Is the entire thing marketing? Number 3, I don't know if you can see it. Number 3, it's written on there. Trust me. As I said, slight head. We're going into 3. Ooh. This one has a more subdued like aroma to it, actually. But dare I say it smells better. It smells, I don't know if sweeter is the right word, but I'm going to say sweeter. Less flavor. Man, these taste identical. This is gonna be hard, my friends. Okay. I've tried all 3. Individually, they all taste identical. Nothing jumped out at me. If I had to guess off the bat, I think number 3 is Bud Light. I don't know why that came to me. Okay. Closing my eyes as if it helps. Okay, number 2 again. Okay. I'm thinking 2 is Miller Lite, number 1. Oh, I might have nailed this. I'm thinking 1 is Coors Light. It has a little bit more of a bite to it at the end. I would say it's not quite as bland. Number 1. I'm going to guess number 1 is Coors Light. It's temporarily locked in. I have number 2 as Miller Lite currently. Let's see. Man, not a lot of flavor to that. And if I'm going off straight memory, I feel like, keep in mind, these are light beers. I know craft beer, these are like sacrilege. But for the purposes of this, hear me out. I feel like Bud Light has always had the least flavor of these. It's been my least favorite, having had them over the course of my life. But then I taste 3, and I'm thinking 3 is Bud Light again. Okay. I've had each one of these a few times now. I think I've locked in my answers. I think I have. Hear me out. Number 1 is Coors Light. I think. I'm pretty sure. I mean, as sure as you can be. All right, number 2. Man, that really doesn't have much flavor. Number 1 has the most flavor. Whatever number 1 is has the most distinct flavor. Number 2 and number 3 both taste like I mixed them with water. I'm not kidding. They're so watered down. I'm interested to see what these are. Between 2 and 3, man, 3 tastes like it's 3/4 water. Number 2 tastes like it's got a little bit of water in it. And number 1 tastes like a shitty light beer. That's kind of where I'm at. So I'm going to say number 1, Coors Light. Number 2 is Miller Lite. And number 3, I'm saying, is Bud Light. Okay. Going to the paper for the first time. Coors Light, Miller Lite, Bud Light. That's my thought, right? Man, none of these beers are very good. All right. Damn. I was wrong. Number 1 is Miller Lite. I'm trying to get you to see this. Number 1 is Miller Lite. I thought that one had the most flavor, as far as flavor can go. Number 2 is Coors Light, which I think had a little bit of a watered down taste to it. It tasted like number 1 with some water. And number 3 tasted like, I'm saying, more water than beer. I've had a lot of these beers. All 3 of these, I've had a lot of them throughout the course of my life. Most of the time, I think I've probably drank Coors Light, to be honest with you. As I've gotten older, if I prefer, or if I'm going for a light beer, I tend to go for a Miller Lite. And I'm going to try these side by side. I don't know if I've ever done this. Number 1 is Miller Lite. Number 2 is Coors Light. So these two, number 1, Miller Lite. Number 2, Coors Light. These are what I consider to be my favorite. So number 1 is Miller. This one I described as having the most flavor. Okay. This one has been the one that I probably drank the most of throughout the course of my life. It just tastes a little watered down. I'm not going to lie. Number 2, keep in mind, number 2 was the one that had no head. Number 1 had a little bit, 2 had none, and 3 had about the same as 1. So Coors Light, head dissipated immediately. I mean, all 3 of them did, but at least 1 and 3, Miller Lite and Bud Light, held on to a little bit of something for a little bit. Coors Light vanished, although it held more flavor than Bud Light. So Taste test wise, I guess I forgot to say which I thought was best. I would have guessed number 1 was my favorite because I said it had the most flavor. I didn't specifically call that out, but number 1 clearly had the most flavor. I said that during the review. I would have said this was my favorite, although I didn't clearly state that. Number 1 was my favorite beer. Of the 3 options available, again, keep in mind what we're reviewing. Yeah, I'm surprised that Coors Light tastes as watered down next to Miller Lite as it does. I remember Coors Light being better than that. What have you done? Bud Light, I always knew was kind of watered down. The Dilly Dilly, I mean, it's just doesn't do it for me. Cold as the Rockies. Is that Coors Light? Cold as the Rockies? Sure, I guess. I mean, if the Rockies are a quarter water, I mean, maybe they are. And Miller Lite, it's the Superior Light Beer, I think they call it. Do they have anything on this dang thing? It's a Pilsner brewed with the highest quality ingredients. I agree. Miller Lite it did taste the best. I agree. So thanks for tuning in, everybody. Thanks for such a off-the-wall light beer taste test. I appreciate you tuning in. Thank you. If you are in the market for a light beer, which most of you probably aren't, but if you find yourself in the mood for a light beer, I would steer you towards the Miller Lite. The Coors Light tastes half like water, and the Bud Light, I'm not sure there's beer in there. So, anyways, thank you guys for tuning in. I would like to remind you, please subscribe to the channel for more light beer, craft beer. Who knows what we see in the future reviews. This is where you're going to find all of them. So follow on YouTube, follow on Instagram and Twitter. You're going to see all this stuff we're doing. I post sneak peeks on Instagram to beers that we're going to be reviewing the next Sunday, which is when my reviews come out. So tune in. Thank you, everybody. Thank you again, everybody, for tuning in. And as always, have a beer. Just maybe not one of these ones.